Welcome back to Chapter. Today we begin Part 2, Chapter 1 of George Orwell's 1984. It has been 4 days since Winston has seen the dark-haired girl and, contemplated murdering her. Completely casual day at work. Winston comes across the mystery girl on the way to the bathroom and notices that her arm is in a sling. And I don't know if this part confused you as much as it confused me, but the way he described her injury, probably she had crushed her hand while swinging around one of the big kaleidoscopes in which the plots of novels were roughed in.
What does that even mean?
Is Orwell trying to say that novels are written like how Family Guy chooses its cutscenes, where like ideas are thrown into a proverbial tank with a dolphin or a manatee? I don't remember if they said they joked if it was a dolphin or a manatee, and just two things are picked up at random and bam, you have a story. Like, the party has completely abolished the idea of like creative thought and creative thinking and creative writing, and like, dang it, Orwell was so thorough. He was so thorough. So the girl falls, and something awakens in Winston for the first time in the novel. Empathy, an emotion the party has tried to mentally beat out of people through things like the thought police, the spies, Big Brother himself. She also passes him a secret note, and Winston can't even risk reading it in the bathroom because, shocker, the party monitors where people pee. The party are pervs, pass it on! Winston instinctively believes the contents of the note are political in nature because what other reason would you have to pass somebody a secret note? Normally it'd be like tipping them off like, hey yo, you gonna die tonight, they gonna come up in your house and straight up kill you, man, you gonna die. Or like, hey yo, I'm gonna turn you into the thought police, so ha ha ha. Now, when Winston reads the letter and finds inside the girl has written, I love you, the proverbial poo hits the fan. Winston becomes instantly obsessed with her and wants to immediately obtain her before it is too late. Also, there's apparently a thing called Hate Week, and Girl Scouts make paper mache Big Brother heads as political propaganda. Weirdest Spirit Week ever. But also a strong political statement the party makes to keep proles and party members subjugated with a false sense of patriotism and utter hatred towards a common enemy. Now, what does that sound like? Upon seeing the dark-haired girl's written sentiments of love, Winston gains the will to live rather than die for his personal, private rebellion. He saw how terrified she was when she passed the note, realizing she was putting her very life at risk just to express how she feels about him. And this affects Winston so deeply that he doesn't even consider following party doctrine and ignoring her advances as he would have in the past. Rather, he begins to think about her in very physical and sexual ways, in a way that's kind of awkward, because he literally was going to kill her earlier in the book. Not in a sense that like, oh, like enemies have become friends, like a Zuko sort of thing. He literally was going to kill her to get away with something. And now she is suddenly worthy of him. And she's worthy of him in these physical and sexual ways because she's not like other women of the party in his own mind. She isn't like Catherine, so afraid of love and physical intimacy that it drives a wedge between them and their partner. The dark-haired girl to Winston must be like him. She must be a free thinker, and he becomes fixated on obtaining her. Now, on the surface, this sounds incredibly creepy, and it is. It's super creepy, but allow me to establish some context. Winston has never been shown this kind of affection. He barely remembers the love of his own mother, father, and family, because those memories exist before the party and a time when he was a child and possibly even into a young adult, and those memories are muddled. His marriage to Catherine was obviously a loveless one, and more duty than romance, which was covered in a previous chapter, his feelings towards Catherine. But the dark-haired girl promises what Winston has been craving: passion, intrigue, romance, physical and emotional intimacy. All things that go directly against party doctrine. And from one so young, nonetheless. Winston has been laying his lot with the elderly, hoping their knowledge, wisdom, and experience will set him free, that he did not even stop to consider the next generation, the generation that had grown up almost with the party. He never considered the passions of young women as a means to the rebellion he's been looking for. But yes, it is incredibly creepy and unhealthy, but alas, relationships in this world are not destined to be healthy, are they? The girl disappears for a while, and Winston freaks out. He immediately jumps to the conclusion that she's been vaporized, or she's changed her mind, or something terrible has happened that's made her think like, ugh, why would I want to hang out with this old dude? But when she comes back, he is so relieved that he allows himself to openly stare at her for several seconds. Steamy. After briefly being cock-blocked by a coworker, Winston does manage to speak with his lady love, and they arrange to meet during a prison transfer parade during Hate Week. During this, we see that the political prisoners are described as Mongolian or increasingly European, which does support the party's claim that they're at war with Eurasia. The dark-haired girl gives him very detailed directions on where to meet her next, and the promise of a passionate tryst is implied. They even get to hold hands briefly, and as Winston is lost in the feeling of her hand against his, he makes the shocking realization that he doesn't even know what color eyes she has. The entirety of this chapter is a testament to one of the two major themes of this novel: sexual repression. Just look at how Winston, a 39-year-old grown man, reacts to getting the equivalent of a middle school love note from a perfect stranger. And not just any perfect stranger, a perfect stranger whom he had considered murdering right up until the moment she trips and falls and hands him the love note that says, "Oh, BT dubs, I love you." With those three little words, Winston loses all sense because someone loves him. Human beings crave emotional intimacy and physical closeness to at least one other person on the whole, and the party has actively denied that to its members for such a long period of time, like over the course of decades, that loneliness has become so ingrained in people that the thought of having to want these physical closeness and the emotional ties to another person makes one filled with guilt and suicidal, because that's not how I should be thinking. Marriage here has been reduced to a duty, and sex to a chore that you can even avoid. Like, instead of having to scrub your shower, you can use scrubbing bubbles, and instead of having sex with a person, you can just, do in vitro fertilization and take the whole, close physical, intimate contact between two people to create a child that is a physical embodiment of their love for one another out of the equation entirely, because scrubbing your shower is hard, but using scrubbing bubbles is easy. Ding! So of course Winston loses his mind when the dark-haired girl says she loves him. No one has shown open affection towards him in the majority of his life, and he doesn't even know her name. Thank you for watching. This has been part 2, chapter 1 of George Orwell's 1984. I hope you enjoyed it. Also, as a shameless plug for a future video, which I've already talked about in 2 other videos, but you know what? I'm gonna keep talking about it because I'm really excited about it. At the end of the series, I'll be making a bonus video detailing some real-world connections that I've been making as I've been going through this book, and detailing them for you to make your comments about. So if that's something that interests you, look for that at the end of the series after I finish the last chapter of part 3. I will be posting that video. It will be detailing the current political climate in the United States and how it relates to 1984, how they kind of mirror each other, and even socioeconomic issues that are facing the world as a whole. So thank you again for watching. Look for that video, and I will see you next time.